coming up next on TVM. Penn State University students participated in the weekend-long event to raise money for families impacted by childhood cancer called THON. Plus, police say they have arrested a man who was armed with a sword and a pocket knife after a stabbing in Lycoming County. And a Clinton County prison guard has been accused of sexual assault. She is being held in the Clinton County Jail on a $50,000 monetary bail. TV-News is coming up next.
We'll be checking in with Emily Rowe for the weather, along with our sports anchor, Vincent Goldschmidt, to find the latest in the sports world. Penn State University students participated in the weekend-long event to raise money for families impacted by childhood cancer called THON. Braden Flegel, a 19-year-old freshman who is also a cancer survivor, is taking classes online. He was diagnosed with a 1 in a million brain tumor called germinoma. After getting this news, they joined the Four Diamonds family, which covers all medical fees not covered by insurance. Over the past weekend, Flegel joined a team to help families like his, where he raised $5,000 on his own, with Don, who is mostly supported by the Four Diamonds family, raised $15 million in 2023, and their numbers are yet to be released for 2024.
Continued support for wounded Scranton police officer Kyle Gilmartin is still happening around the area. Post Tire and Auto Service pledged to donate $10 from every oil change service and 10% off any Coast gift card purchase. Coast raised over $11,000 for the Scranton Police Department. Gilmartin was shot on duty last month while investigating gunfire and suffered a head injury, but he is making strides in his recovery.
Police say they have arrested a man who was armed with a sword and a pocket knife after a stabbing in Lycoming County around 1 a.m. Friday morning. Officers said they were called to the 300 block of South Lincoln Ave, Jersey Shore for a reported stabbing. A 30-year-old man with serious stab wounds was found when police arrived. According to the report, 22-year-old Dalton Johnson was wielding a 2-foot-long sword pointed at two individuals who were fighting outside. The victim was able to disarm Johnson and a fight began between the two. Johnson reportedly punched the man whilst on top of him and then proceeded to stab the 30-year-old. Johnson was found 45 minutes later after fleeing the scene. He's being charged with 2 counts of simple assault, 1 count of possessing a weapon, and 1 count of endangering another person. His bond is set at an $85,000 cash bail.
Kids at Whittier Elementary School in Scranton were unveiled plans for a new schoolyard this week. The district partnered with the Trust for Public Land and Valley in Motion groups to kickstart the project last fall. The students were involved in the planning process, suggesting a playground, flowers, and benches. The school year at Whittier is one of 3 planned for the development in the Southside section of Scranton, Pennsylvania.
The Clinton County prison guard has been accused of sexual assault on February 12th. State police charged 31-year-old Kelly Lynn Five from Lock Haven with 3 counts of institutional sexual assault. The Clinton County District Attorney's Office said Five worked as a corrections officer at the Clinton County Correctional Facility. According to investigators, Five engaged in sexual intercourse with an inmate at her prison on 3 occasions between September 8, 2023 and February 10, 2024. She is being held in the Clinton County Jail on a $50,000 monetary bail.
On February 12th, the Borough of Dunmore passed an ordinance to effectively stop residents from feeding stray and feral cats who have not been through the Trap, Neuter, Return, or TNR process. The goal is to establish an official TNR program to control cat overpopulation and diseases and to ensure the health, safety, and welfare for the borough and its residents. According to the borough's Facebook page, we are working diligently with local rescues, veterinarians, and volunteers to get the program up and running. However, we are still in the beginning stages. Officials are asking residents to be patient as the TNR program develops and to not share information on this process in order to prevent unnecessary stress and confusion among stakeholders. Questions can be answered by contacting the Dunmore Borough Building.
Coming up, we'll tell you next about a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
CWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
Wednesday that 153,000 student loan borrowers enrolled in the SAVE program will have their debt canceled, totaling about $1.2 billion. Under that plan, remaining federal student loan balances are erased for those who originally borrowed $12,000 or less and have made payments for at least 10 years.
A United States MQ-9 Reaper drone that had appeared to crash near Hodeidah in Yemen earlier Monday morning, February 20th, had actually been shot down by a surface-to-air missile, said a U.S. official on Tuesday. A spokesperson for the Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen said in a statement posted to X on Monday that the MQ-9 was shot down with a suitable missile. The attack comes amid regular attacks by the rebel group on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. The incident is still being investigated.
The Alabama Supreme Court has ruled that embryos created through IVF are considered children. 3 IVF providers in the state have already suspended their fertility services out of fear of legal repercussions for discarding embryos, a common but necessary part of the IVF process. Embryos are frequently discarded if they have genetic abnormalities or if patients do not need to use them. This ruling put the hold on couples who rely on assisted reproductive technology to add to their families.
The United States has vetoed a resolution at the United Nations calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, which comes amid American frustrations with Israel's war. The U.S. had already signaled its intention to veto the Algerian resolution, but has grown increasingly critical of Israel's conduct in Gaza, and on Monday proposed its own Security Council draft resolution that for the first time calls for a temporary ceasefire in the conflict. The U.S. has become more alarmed in its criticism of Israel's campaign as an offensive against Rafah looms. The southernmost city in Gaza is crammed with Palestinians with no evacuation route. Israel's coordinator for the captives and the missing, Gal Hirsch, said Israel wants a deal, but Hamas's demands are delusional.
Up next, we'll fill you in on events happening in Marywood, and Emily will update us on the upcoming weather.
Mind. Drive. If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
The Bright Star musical performance will be playing at the Set La Vergetta Center for Performing Arts, Room 100. Bright Star is a bluegrass musical set in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina in the 1920s and 40s, a story of love and redemption, and is full of humor and joy.
Marywood Psychological Services Center is offering a combined anxiety disorder and eating disorder screening on Thursday, February 29, 2024 at 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. as supportive community initiative to connect the public with mental health resources. Through this program, free anxiety and/or eating disorder screenings are offered at Marywood Psychological Services Center, located in the McGowan Center on the university's campus. For questions about anxiety, eating disorder, screenings, or other mental health concerns, contact Marywood Psychological Services Center.
Let's see what's in the forecast for the upcoming week. Over to you, Emily.
Thank you. Now for this week's 7-day forecast. Today, it is a high of 43 and a low of 20 with a winter mix. Tomorrow through Thursday, it is mid-20s to high 50s. Saturday through Monday, it will be partly cloudy with the clouds covering the sun on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I hope you have those umbrellas handy because it will be raining, but it will clear up for Thursday where the sun starts to peek out again. That is all for the weather. After this break, we will check out sports with Mitch and Goldschmidt.
I'm an actor in an ad, given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. If you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
To see how the Marywood men's and women's basketball teams did in the Atlantic East playoffs. But first, let's take a look at how the women's lacrosse team began their 2024 season. The Pacers women's lacrosse team traveled to Marywood-University to open their season up against the Cougars. Marywood fell behind by 3 goals in the opening 4 minutes, failing to make a comeback and taking their first loss of the season, 15-12. Sophomore midfielder Avery Meehan scored 6 goals while assisting another. Moving over to the hardwood, both Pacers teams made the Atlantic East playoffs. We'll kick it off with the women's squad, who traveled to Newman University to face the Knights. Their defense was torn apart, yielding 84 points in the season-ending loss. Switching over to the men's team, after defeating Cabrini University on the road, the Pacers returned home to host the Cavaliers in the opening round of the playoff. Guard Trevor Seitz drained 4 threes, totaling 23 points en route to an 80-68 loss. The Pacers were on the road for the semifinals of the Atlantic East playoffs, facing the only team to hand them multiple losses during the regular season, the Gwen and Mercy University. Seitz again led the way for the Pacers, scoring 21 points, but a collapse in the closing 5 minutes led to the end of the Pacers' season, 86-70. Switching over to the national scene, with spring training underway, players are reporting to their respective clubs with the season on the horizon. However, many of the top free agents from this offseason's class remain available, including Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, and Jordan Montgomery. Another free agent still available is reigning National League Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, who might be off the market soon. The Yankees have landed outfielder Juan Soto and starting pitcher Marcus Stroman off, but have put an offer out to Snell to add the lefty to the already loaded rotation, which includes 2023 American League Cy Young Award winner Garrett. One of the most interesting NFL offseasons fans to keep an eye on is the Chicago Bears, as they possess the first overall pick. The first overall pick is expected to be USC quarterback Caleb Williams, who has been the consensus top guy since. However, many Bears fans want the franchise to remain with current QB Justin Fields. Fields, amid all the trade rumors, understands that this is a part of the business in the NFL, but wants to remain in Chicago. Fields has shown flashes of excellence with Bears, but his 3 years with the organization have been very underwhelming. That's all for sports. TVM will return after these messages.
I'm an actor in an ad, given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. If you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high if you're anyway.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
Welcome back to TVM-News, and finally tonight, Bears just want to have fun. These European brown bears are just waking up from a 4-month-long slumber, and they are full of energy. First on their agenda, a splash in the pond, a romp through the woods, and a little bit of sunbathing. Naya, Cinderella, Mana, and Minnie are their names. They live at the Whipsnade Zoo in England, where zookeepers keep them on a specialized diet to ensure they're nice and fat for their long winter. Some European brown bears are at risk for extinction due to loss of habitat. The CSL, the international conservation charity behind the zoo, works to restore their ecosystems and protect their species.
That's going to do for this edition of TV-News. From everyone at Marywood, thanks for tuning in.
Be sure to follow TV-Marywood's YouTube page and like the TVM Instagram page to stay up to date on the latest happenings and to watch additional content. I'm Nate McLean.
And I'm Casey Jeanette.
Have a great weekend, Marywood. I
Yeah.
wish I was a bear that was kept nice
Me
and
too.
fat with a special diet.
Yeah.